Hello! Greetings. Just checking my lights. I should have checked these a minute ago, but they're pretty good. Alright, so this is essentially where we got to. I'm kind of crooked. I'm like, why am I placing this at an angle? Oh yeah, because I have my stuff all shifted everywhere. This moved back. Shouldn't have. Alright. I think things are pretty square. You have the camera distortion across the center, which is always weird. It's a little bit like a fisheye lens, but all lenses just naturally do that. I need to move this away from my foot. Alright. So, hello, hope everything's going well for you guys. I don't know why my screen just shut off. But yeah, I'm still using the phone for the reference. I actually found the original image before I had cropped it down and found out that it is in fact Will Turner, who I just manually deleted from this photo. And that's fine. You know, I want to focus on Jack for this scene, and it's silly to have the barest little bit of an arm of some other character. It's like, that's not what the focus of this is. So the focus is Jack. At least for this one. Alright, so I need to bring the shadow down. I'm just kind of diving right in. I did come back and add a little bit of detail. You can see there's a teeny bit of contrast just because I wasn't sure that I had quite placed the features correctly on the eye, and it was helpful for me to just have that little bit more contrast, just to make sure that my lines were going in the right place. I adjusted this pulley. I had this at a really like taut angle this way instead of like kind of slack in the background. That was bothering me, so I changed it. This particular line should actually be more taut and more vertical. I'm not putting it in exactly those same spots. I kind of like it having a little bit more space to fill up the frame background. I don't want it to be quite so close. So it's fine when you're making decisions to go ahead and change framing, as long as it is suiting your own purposes. It doesn't create like an interesting focal point for me, it is just background information. And that's why I'm keeping it, and I just want to push it further into the background of the scene. Just fill in our space a little bit. We'll bring this one down though. I'll probably add some more of these like webbing bits, because this is a some netting that you climb. Just visual interest in the background. I think I'm spacing these too close for how the other ones are. And here I am parking my hand on the page. I'm bad. I didn't put lotion on at least, so I know it's not like my hands aren't too bad when it comes to that. But back to the cheap dollar store 1.5" chip brush for painting. It's handy for getting those eraser skewings off the page. So that's good. Oh yeah, I did want to make a quick note as far as some minor things. Like when I created the watermark image. Sorry, my inline headphones volume is a little high. There we go, that's a little better. Yeah, so when I did the watermark, I noticed that when I had saved it and then moved it over to saving it as its own file, I had already flattened the layers. So what I did the same day is I went back in and just recreated it, so I have a layers version of that in case I want to make any edits. That's just general file maintenance. A little bit about the cleaning up the cold wax medium. I just Gamsol vigorously wiped it off with a brush, so the brush is nice and clean and it's not all gummed up with the cold wax medium. So that's going well. The surface of the card, when I did the finish work for that, just real quick, I wound up buffing it out with a with the same cloth that I used for that cloth, same paper towel that I used for doing the finish work. And I will do a minor touch-up. I did have a wee mishap with some acrylic paint, which is what I was going to show you. I managed to get a spot on the surface, and I've already scraped it off. The cold wax medium was great. It's already, like, it feels dry to the touch when you handle it. So that went really well. I was able to clean it off without any problems. But now I just have an itty bitty little spot that I had to clean up with the I also used the Gamsol to go ahead and help me clean the remnants that I couldn't just scrape. So that went well. I just need to give it a quick touch up there. And I'll do the same process. I'll just, I'll probably just apply it with my fingertip rather than get in with the paper towel, because that's more medium than I will need for this circumstance, and then just brush it to have the texture match the texture of the piece itself. So that went exceedingly well. I have not put this brush back because now it has touched oil-based media, and no matter what, like, this still has like a slightly oily feel, and I don't know why I'm handling that when I'm doing watercolor work. I don't want any chance of remnants of that touching the work. So this brush can go put away here. Here. Now it's off my desk, and I don't have to worry about it bumping into stuff. I did do another coat with the Mod Podge before the stream. That's already dried, so I have one coat on both sides of that sign. I'm not showing you guys the other side of that sign because, well, reasons. I'm leaving at least something to be a surprise, just in case my roommate does start watching these videos. So things are a little bit more ambiguous, at least for gift giving. Like I said before, fan art items, I like them because it's kind of relaxing for me to work on recreating, polishing skills for realism, trying to work quickly. So that's one of the reasons I do this, is, like, training my eye for moving stuff over. And I've corrected a good bit here. I still feel like his finger seems a little bit off. Maybe it's a little bit too wide. I may narrow that down, but it looks in scale for, compared to his pinky, they're about the same, because the pinky's getting so much pressure being flattened out here. So it looks correct, but when I look at the reference image, it seems a little bit different, and that may just be because of negative painting. So, like, this area being so covered in shadow, and that I only have a pencil line kind of indicating the shadow on the finger itself. So, meh. Rambling. I ramble a lot. We'll go ahead and stop on a retweet real quick. Alrighties, we have a viewer. Hello, viewer. Alright, and then as far as back to the active stream, I have started doing a little bit of, like, polling, like a general feel for what you guys would like to see for the stream frame next month. And I'm curious to see what your opinion is, if I should change up the frame. I will definitely change up the frame. I don't want to rock out with MerMay for the month of June, like the MerMay frame. Even though I do consider mermaids a very, very summery type of creature. I also want to change things out. I mean, by default, I really like the Alice in Wonderland one that I did. That's actually, I don't think there's anything specific marking it as, like, just Alice in Wonderland. There's, like, skulls, there's roses, well, there's white roses present, which I guess would lean it a little bit. And I have the small one gaming in the background. And then my smallest one decided to go ahead and plop himself face down for a nap in the back of the day, which is cute. As always, I go ahead and check for breathing, but he's over 1. And I just keep an ear out to make sure that he's not having any issues with being comfortable and getting air. So there is that. There's some little bump back here in the background. I don't know if I'm going to include that. I might leave that off. Because it goes right into this fold of the headband. Or slash headscarf. Yeah. We'll go with headscarf, I think. And we have some hair coming down here. I changed the angle for this, so this is a lot closer to what it should be. Today I was smart, and I muted all my notifications, other than emergency ones. Oh, I can volume all the way down for the music. I think that looks closer to correct. I think I have a slight bit more taper. This whalebone. Or at least I'm figuring this is meant to represent whalebone. I still have no idea why this would be in someone's hair, but you know. What can you do? I need to put in those other beads. I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot to those put into place. Like this one is a little bit above the nose. That one. This one's more of a cylinder. And I hope the reference is like close enough for you guys to see, but I'm also not trying to have everything completely within view necessarily, because I am very gentle to mention that this is being used for basically a learning experience for me, just as far as a realism exercise, because, dare I say, it is Disney. Disney can be a little bit more on the litigious side. We'll be very strict that this is for learning purposes. This actually looks like it's a dye, but it doesn't look very square from the angle that I'm seeing it. Yeah, I'm curious about that. This one seems like it should be a little bit bigger. Correct the edges of my circle. I'm curious to see if there is maybe a better image online, just to see about that. Alright, so Jack Sparrow. I'm gonna just type in wig. Seeing plenty of random results, and I don't want to see that. I want to see. I'm gonna type in screen worn.
After you get out, okay, go, get up.
And there are a lot of cosplayers running around with this.
I'm talking about the passageway going down.
Yeah, I'm having trouble finding a closer shot. I'm really curious if that's a dye there.
The Okay, close the super X.
Here's a
Pretend that
close up. Yeah, it looks like it's just spotted.
Pretend I erased the
There.
spot.
And on this side, it seems like maybe the dangle is sitting up on something, but there's like, it looks, it's not blue on the other side, so this seems to be like the metal coin bit sitting up here. I'm not sure, it's a weird angle. But wherever there are highlights, I want to make sure that I include those. I can actually leave that with the pencil anyway. Because I'll probably hit this with masking fluid. Because that is a highlight that I would want to reserve and would be worth playing with the masking fluid, and this is going to be a fast piece anyway. At least that's my goal. I think I have a good bit of the detail in. We can probably move to paint just momentarily here. It's up here, it's a touch. I don't know if maybe I made that too small. Zoom. That's the nice thing about here. Just below there. Yeah, actually, that was in the right spot. The hair was in the right spot. I've been drawing this a little small. Alright, so you need to be like right next to here. Red one. I know I'm not going hardcore with the details, but the ones near the face are what really shine. So like other stuff in the background not being exact, I'm fine with that. I'm probably going to leave a bunch of that. But like on the face, it's gotta be right. Well, just about everything is near his face, but you know. So close to the face. It's a little bit more substantial here. Is that about right? I think this might still be a little small. Yeah, I'm curious about all of the random stuff that's up here. More like a barrel shape than I originally drew it. I think I still have something out of scale. This one's still out of scale. Making everything line up. You'll occasionally see me have to stop and re-extend the eraser, because if you give this enough pressure, the eraser just starts to spin back up into the body. Spin it back out to go ahead and get it. Extend. sketch job. That's the one thing about this pencil that I don't love. I kind of prefer my click eraser for that. If I were actually doing heavy enough erasing, like where I was going to be consistently doing it, I would go ahead and grab my click eraser. This is out just a touch and on an angle. I'll probably hit this with masking fluid too because this one's white, and then the white spots in this one. Same thing with white spots on this one. There's a bunch of highlights that I'd want to save. So I might be getting out the masking fluid in a moment. That actually went really well on the tone paper, but I haven't tested it on here yet. So again, learning experience. Alright, and now this is behind hair. This is where it should be. And I do have some random highlights, so I'm gonna start doing the hair probably with a light wash, and then I'll do negative painting to go ahead and dip in with those darks. Anything else we can see? There's some chromatic aberration near the pistol, like just some blue shining through around here. I don't know if I'm gonna keep that. Alright, so now I need to draw in this and get some detail. Just gently. Just a touch. It's hard to tell if this is some skin tone here and a shadow, or if this might be more the yellow material. It's hard to tell if that might be a bit of lighting getting affected by that. I'm gonna say that's finger and shadow. Shadow coming in from this. I'm not too worried about this. I am going to play with probably seeing what the neutral tint does with that and yellow. I do want to experiment with a wash just to make sure it doesn't tip towards green. It shouldn't, but as far as I'm aware, it doesn't. I just haven't personally done that mix myself. I haven't done a whole lot of yellow and shadows. There's some nice pinkish tones in here. I'm probably going to be a little bit sketchy about that part of the process, like literally like dry brushing and sketching in some sections. Almost at a point where I should be knocking down some of these shadows and graphite lines. I need to get this pistol finished. Right, I'm gonna try to do it a little bit closer to my desk, closer to you guys. You know what? Actually, why am I gonna do that? I'm gonna sit on the edge of my seat and like what? I'm just gonna move you guys a little bit closer. You can see the weird stuff on the edge of my desk. Well, it's not very weird. I have like just catch the edge of the rolling cart and like masking tape and my graphitant, because that's where my graphitant stuff currently lives. What finger shape is wrong? Just a very gentle curve. A little bit of a light spot there. Why am I talking about that? Pistol. That's right. I'm gonna angle this way. A lot of straight lines, and that'll be easier for me. Alright. Let's see what I can pick up. I turned up the brightness pretty significantly. I'm gonna just go a little further. We'll max that out. Yes, I know. Alright, there we go. See which I can visually suss out. Sometimes it's easier to draw upside down because it's just shapes. This doesn't go that far, but I'd rather lead in with a nice long line for the initial shape. I think I have the shoulder up a little bit too high, which I know I've made an adjustment for that. Basically come calling today that, hey, you need to move this down if you want to have this stuff in proportion. Move that down just ever so slightly. So I want to make sure I have room for the highlight and then dip back into the shadow for the arm. Moving that down just a touch. I think that's about right. No, I definitely have some stuff out of scale. Yeah, the hand should be further that way. I think it's... This angle here isn't quite as great as it should be, which affects this angle here. No, there's not as much room for the pistol here. Here. Let me see what I can do with the space that we have. I could spend more time and re-erase and try to go with more precision, but the place that I really want to focus on as far as precision is just the likeness, not so much the spacing for that. Yeah, just looking at it now, there's room where stuff is not going to be lined up perfect. This should be down lower. Which means I'm probably just not going to do that detail because it's down low enough where it'll be cut off. Yeah, so I definitely had some scaling issues for how big I planned on framing this. This current bit that I'm working on anyway is from the original photo instead of the cropped one. So some things are going to be in a different spot anyway, because I cropped it differently. Some of this I just visually can't tell what it is. Like there's this flat edged item here. It's got a highlight along the edge. And the other side of it just gets lost. There's another little band somewhere around here where this is. And there should be more of a space here that's lost in shadow. Which part of this shoulder area is me not detailing the shadow from the musket yet. I think this was a musket. No, muskets are rifles, aren't they? Pistol. I am not a weapons historian by any means. I do have a book on weapons, and I should be looking at that more often. There's some things that would be handier for. Alright, so now we have this coming off over here. And then because of this object being further from the area where the shadow is cast, that's why this shadow looks like it's falling away. It's distorting down the back. Might even be a little bit more of an angle, but that's where that blue little highlight is right here. Just hits the edge of that shadow. Disappears. And that's fine. That should work. Alright, so more on the silver bit. It's got a bit that comes around. There might be like some engraving going on. There's a little bit of like texture here. The shot is not clear enough where right now I suspect that this is the shadow from the ring that he's wearing. Again, this is all squished this way. There should be more space between these items. But I really don't want to redraw that hand when so much is fitting where I want it to be. And it's important to set goals ahead of time for images like this, because then you know, is this a thing that means that you need to erase a bunch of the work that you just did or not? If I were doing like a botanical piece, or if I needed to have it absolutely perfect, that would be in my goals. I would be going through and erasing. But for me, a lot of this is more so a learning experience about color use. And making sure I have those shadows and highlights. So that's what I'm focusing on. So yes, I want my line work to be at least accurate enough that I have some groundwork to follow. But I'm not striving for perfection. So there's some bumps here, shadow. That would indicate that there's some differences of texture or shape. Which this one seems to be because of the ring shape. This one seems to be distortion from the way the pistol sits. There's like a step here. It's gonna be pretty dark over here. This line will just kind of disappear. Probably about here, there's a little change in the depth of the barrel. Seems to be that the wood comes down a little bit. or in this case up, because the pistol's upside down, but for context of the photo, it would say down because it's a little step down. We have this metal section. There's like some strapping on there. So first I'm doing the under piece. This, I'm guessing is the barrel, or no, this is probably the rod to go ahead and pack powder. Okay. It's nice when you can figure out the purpose of something by looking at it, because it can help you know the difference between, like, logically, like, okay, there's like an open section here, so it's kind of like almost like it was made like a hinge. So like that would be bare rod, that would be bare rod, that's the end of it that they fashioned a handle for it. And then up here is the actual barrel, and that's mostly encased in wood. It's kind of neat. But that's, in my mind, like an odd bit of design. Like, why would you have part of this area open? But I guess if you're dealing with, like, potentially like dirt or yeah, dirt, gravel, stuff like that, you drop it on the ground, you don't want to have that stuff like up here where you're supposed to be putting your rod in. Like, you would want to be able to pretty easily knock that out. That makes functional sense too, having it open, but if you're not paying attention, it just means that you put the rod in incorrectly. Yeah. Chances of distorting it, and you don't want a distorted rod in the barrel, probably, because that would probably be pretty negative and could probably cause distortions and firing issues. Your rod hasn't been to it. I know someone's gonna make the comment like this is being taken out of context, like, well, my rod's bent, blue. Like, dude, you're 12. Some really pretty cool tones, like just blue highlights reflecting on a couple spots of this barrel. It's a really nice subtle sheen to it. I don't know if that's gonna fit in the frame here. Yeah. That would be right about here where it flares out for the handle. This is all getting cut off. So I'm not going to finish that bit of detail. It's just going to run off the edge of the page. Which is kind of a shame. It's a pretty detail. Like, in theory, I think it... I don't know. I'm wondering if I did that really askew. You know what? I'm curious to see where some of these inconsistencies are, and I'm sure you're curious too, so I'm gonna take a photo. I'm gonna see if I can get these both over to my computer. We're gonna take a look at it in Photoshop and just see where I've gone wonky. And something I like to do once in a while is to just take a look. So right now I am uploading the reference to my folder on the computer. Alright. And then I'm gonna grab the photo with my camera. Like with my phone, not my camera. That way I don't have to drop my frame and whatnot for there. Alright. just threw it in my general folder. It'll be just a moment while I get that pulled up here. So I need to go here. Yep, I have them both here. Alrighty. So it'll be just a moment while I pull up Photoshop. Highlight these two and tell them to open Photoshop. I gotta do it one at a time. Alright, and just a moment while I get these both opened, because I have to download to the computer temporarily before they'll open. And then I'm just gonna change my input. Yeah, so just letting you know, changing input, you'll be seeing the computer. Regular computer screen. It says high CPU usage. Well, yes. Uh-oh, inception-y bit. Alright. I tried to get that pretty flat. I do need to rotate it real quick. Do a 90 counterclockwise. I'm gonna leave this one here. I'm gonna grab this one to move it over and overlay it. I'm just curious how well that has gone, or how badly that has gone. I'm gonna drop the opacity to 80. Not enough. Drop to 70 then. And we'll zoom in. Still not quite enough for my line work. My line work is pretty light. Right, there we go. We can start to see some line work. Like I said, the rigging I don't care about. But I am curious about where everything else is wound up. And scrolling him down. Oh, this is a mess. Alright, let's try to line up the face then. Say it's fine for right now. Zoom in. Well, the eye looks okay-ish. This should be out further. The head is completely off. Okay. Moving this. I thought I didn't go in far enough for this area. Alright. Maybe I shouldn't have done this, because then... Ouch. Ouch, it shows my eyes all kinds of askew. Alright, I'm gonna line it up for his hand real quick. Okay, so this part of the hand is pretty good. This needs to come in further. That's not bad. The shadow lines up really well. I knew that finger was off. So it needs to be a teeny bit longer, a teeny bit further over, so actually I'm gonna see how it compares when I line that up. Lining up to the rig. It's not awful. It's not right, but it's not awful. I want to skew with all kinds of elements here. Wow. It's just funny, like, when you see the value side by side. Like, I knew this whole area was going to be off. So I didn't have as much room there. Oh, that is eye-opening. Just moving it back in line with his face. Like, Like, yeah, I can go ahead and lick those fingers slightly. I'm seeing what I want to do about the face. Felt like that eye was off. And my shadows are a bit off for the cheek too. The eye, the left eye is too high. The angle for the whalebone looks correct, it's just slightly in the wrong spot. Now, here's where I'm in a strong debate. Like, okay, so do I fix all of this? Or do I move to... Because like I said, the point of this for me was more so color work than it is for line work, but I can see, like, my line work needs some help here. Holy. I feel like this is a lot more work than I was going to tackle as far as a redo. Wow. Kept making those beads bigger and bigger, but they did not need to be bigger. Curious what it lined up. Yeah, I gotta keep making them bigger. Well, I'm having a good debate here, so apologies, it will be a moment. Alright, so in light of that, we'll go ahead and turn that down. Alright, back to the main window. I feel like now that I've seen it, like, in relation to the actual image and that scaling, I definitely need more work. But I also don't want to do this as like 2 days in a row. I was feeling pretty good about moving forward with this, but yeah, I think I'm going to do another attack, starting with erasing. Actually, I didn't even check to see if my my horizon line was right. Oh nope, that's off too. Yeah, it is by a lot. No, it's before I rejiggered a lot. Well, ouch. I think this is a good opportunity for a redo. I'm not even going to use this eraser. Like I said, heavy erasing. I'm pulling out my other one. is I like to keep this eraser on the pencil for when I'm out and about and drawing. There's no point in using it for when I need to start over. Because I could sit here and I could try to put little bits of changes, but I kind of feel like there's enough askew at this point. I really need to go back to the drawing board. It's disappointing. But I know for as long as it is here before it leaves, I would just be looking at it like, So, gotta love our progress, huh? So, while I'm working on that, I think what I will do, and this is absolutely a shortcut, and I don't suggest that you ever do this for work that is sold, but because this is work that is not sold, and I want to get you guys to seeing the color work, which is also the part that I wanted to do this for, is my idea for color work on this was mostly using the my current palette, which I'll go ahead and bring that down, at least bring down the colors for it. But wanting to use this with the shade and tone set from Derwent. So skewing this down. But yeah, between this and the Derwent shade and tone set, because my palette doesn't have anything that really granulates. You can maybe the Payne's Grey would. The neutral tint, I think because of the honey content, and it does some weird texturing, but it's not specifically like granulating. So that's why I think I'll bring in the shade and tone set, especially for like elements like the hat, that worn leather effect. That's where I think that charcoal could really shine. I don't think I'm going to do anything granular for any of the other features, because it doesn't seem, at least in my brain, it doesn't seem right to incorporate those. Now I won't get as much of an effect out of it because I'm using hot press paper. So just flat out, I am going to find my other image where I cropped it for 5x7. We're gonna get this transferred. We're gonna move on about our day. Again, I don't do this for finished work. I don't take other people's photos and just trace them, because that's not cool. It's fine for like practice work, but nothing professional. You can see, like, I am trying to build up my eye, and I really badly did it this time. Meh. I'm trying to think, is there something else that I can work on in this short time? And at this point we're like 5 minutes left. Like, the ego part of me is like, yes, redraw it, you could do it. But I also I don't want to be doing this for days and days and days. Like, I want this to be maybe like 4 days max with you guys, and we've already done 2 days. Like this being the second. I'm so happy I had extra time that I got to put into it yesterday. It wasn't a lot of time, but it was a little bit. I was tuning in those details. My stuff's all askew. Yeah, so I think for sake of this particular one moving forward, as far as interest to you guys, I don't know if it would be interesting to watch it be redrawn or not. Tend to have some very quiet viewers. Rarely get comments on videos at the moment. So it's hard to know what you guys are thinking when you're watching the videos because you don't tell me what you're thinking. I would love to hear some opinions. But I have two impulses about this. One is just that little bit of ego, just like, you can redo this. Go ahead and redraw it. You can do it. And then the other side that is like, just get ahead so you can get to painting this tomorrow. The point of this exercise for me was the color work. I'm just making sure that this palette can handle what I'm throwing at it. The anthraquinoid red is not the only red on this palette anymore. That's I forget if it's PR 177 or 188. Hold on. I actually have a color chart for that one here, wherever the pigment code's down. PR 177. But used in mass tone, it seems to be decent. But when you do lighter washes with it, it's really prone to fading in watercolor. So while I love the color, it is a really pretty color. I can actually get a similar color mixing M. Graham's Quin Rose and Daniel Smith's Pyrrole Crimson, and I've been tempted to just mix up a pan of that. It doesn't quite work for this particular palette because I'm writing with two colors in each half pan, so I feel like that would be a little weird to go ahead and mix that up and then split it. But it's really, really similar. I have the mixes for that nearby. I think I have a mix for that nearby. Yeah. So there you go. These are the colors that are in the current pan, and then colors that I have in the running, which those are all dots on that palette, on this palette. And then here's the mixture of the Quin Rose and the Pyrrole Crimson, and it looks remarkably like it. Gives you that pinkish tone in washes, gives you that deeper red when you use it at mass tone. So I really like that mix. It's just, I feel a little bit iffy about having mixed pigments for this one, and because of the application of it, like getting this to fill half of a half pan and then blob in my purely maroon. I figure I'll yammer about color for a minute since I'm not moving forward with redrawing Jack yet. This is probably the most pointless video at the moment as far as constructive work, like physical work that shows you that it is creative progress, but I think it's also it's important work to see where your flaws are, what you need to work on. So while I'm absolutely disappointed, I'm also still glad that I did it and tried and realized that my eye is definitely a little askew, so I got some work to do. So, yeah, it's, like I said, mixed feelings about how I want to approach it. Do I want to try to work on my eye in getting that to be more accurate, or do I want to just have it ready to go and move forward with the with painting tomorrow? Today is a school workload heavy day. I do need to focus on that tonight, so I am actually likely not to have a whole lot of time I can dedicate other than before stream tomorrow. I get about maybe an hour prep time. I don't always get that. There's varying shifts when you have small children. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards I'm probably just going to have to move the line work over. And I hate it. I hate it. I really want to have the time to be focusing on training my eye a little bit better. In other notes, I was working on another minimal palette, which is also on this swatch sheet. Currently, I'm not quite married to these 5 colors, but I thought it was an interesting palette idea. You have the Pyro Crimson and Phthalo Green Blue shade. They neutralize really well. They can give you similar tones to Purulene Green, Purulene Violet, and then Purulene Marine you get with Pyro Crimson and a little bit of Quin Gold. It's Quinacridone Gold. I put some Sap Green on here just to see that the Quinacridone Gold and Phthalo Green Blue shade do in fact give you that tone. That's the other big thing. So that you have these really nice muted colors with fairly bright shades. So these 3 so far. I like Deep Scarlet and Quin Burnt Orange. You can get there with the Pyro Crimson and Quinacridone Gold mixes. Purposeful Violet is kind of an odd one. You get this really pretty muted blue, and you get kind of an indent throne shade, kind of right in there. Mixing pretty heavily on the purple side. So that's why it's still a work in progress. I don't know if I'd want to do a palette without a blue. But, playing. I like the neutrals you can get from the Quin Gold and Carbazole Violet though. So, testing, playing with stuff, just seeing what I like, and I kind of wanted this to be geared towards like Halloween-ish, just not in an expected way. So, still debating adding neutral tint to the palette. Played with Quinacridone Lilac as well. Some really pretty colors with the neutral tint. So, I don't know. Just a random thought exercise that I've left off to the side, and then it's probably the closest 2-color mix that I've gotten to the Mayan Blue is Cobalt Teal Blue and some Sodalite. And tried to get some decent granulations because Mayan Blue is pretty granular. Trying to focus on something positive. This is when I first got this panel of reds to look at as potential replacements for that anthraquinoid red. And then some other tests as far as mixing reds. So I can mix reds in this palette. Quinacridone Lilac and the Hot Yellow Medium make a pretty good red. It's just, I don't always like to mix that, even though I haven't been painting enough red heavy subjects to really warrant a red slot. But it's fun to explore your palette and what you can do with the mixes. The little black hearts are colors that are currently on that bright and dark palette. Oh, and quinacridone lilac, it plays such a big part of almost all of these mixes that I didn't mark it as part of my palette, even though it is. Oh well. Yeah, it's random thoughts. I like these kind of burnt scarlet / deep scarlet type tones. Trying to ramble about something a little bit more positive after today's session. But, yep. It's not much of a consolation. That sucks. Oh well. Yeah. You know, to make a thumbnail for this. That'll be fun. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm just sorry it's on a negative note. I was hoping I'd see like some really good areas of that line work jiving, and we did not. Yeah, if anything, that's a good show for doing light line work, so that way if you do need to erase significant bits, you don't have any like gouges, you know, and it's nice not to be heavy-handed. So there's that. I don't have a whole lot where I see like some ghosting. I do see a couple spots, but it's not terrible. I should be able to paint right over without too much harm. This isn't a super light colored subject. A lot of neutrals, a lot of dark. So, and we'll see you tomorrow. Keep on creating, and we'll be back with some more work on Jack tomorrow. Bye for now.